Welcome to Maths for All. I'm Aisling Flynn. This is the circle 1.3, circles with centre HK. So far we've been dealing with circles that had a centre of 0, 0. So when they move away from this point, the equation also changes. Okay, again, it's just another form of Pythagoras' theorem, but this is the form that it takes. So here we see we have x minus h to be squared plus y minus k to be squared equals r squared. So it's somewhat familiar, and the centre of the circle is hk. Okay, in using this we just have to be mindful of the minus that's here. Okay, so if you have a negative number there, you have to count that the minus came from the formula. Let's look, if we use what we had before, centre 0, 0, what becomes of this? Well, you'd have x minus 0 to be squared plus y minus 0 to be squared equals r squared. It's the same thing, what we had. Okay. Now, if you need to use this, you will find it in the Formula and Tables book. So let's have a look at the Formula and Tables book, the second page of coordinate geometry, page 19, and look for the circle. And here you see, given the centre HK and radius R, the equation of a circle is here, x minus h squared plus y minus k squared equals r squared. Alright, so let's put that to some use. Here we're told to find the centre and radius of the circle x plus 3 squared plus y minus 6 squared. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to compare it directly to the formula from the Formula and Tables book. Alright, so we're looking for the centre, which will be hk, and the radius, which will be r. So we don't have to do a whole pile of work. We just have to examine and compare. So in the place of h, I see a 3, but I have a plus instead of a minus. Okay, so that meant, if you go backwards, it was x minus minus 3 gave me that plus. Alright, so whatever presents, it will be the opposite sign. So my h will be minus 3, and my y, direct comparison here is, or my k rather, which is the y value, is 4, right? So there was no change to the negative sign there. So k is just 4. So the centre of that circle is minus 3, 4. And if we go to the right hand side of the equation, you can see that r squared equals 8. So r will be the square root of 8. Okay, so just reading information straight from the equation. Let's try another one. Find the centre and radius of the circle with the equation x minus 3 squared plus y squared equals 9. So this one looks a little bit different in that there's a bracket missing. Let's write down what we're used to. X minus h squared plus y minus k squared equals to 9 or r squared. Okay, and let's do some comparing. Alright, so clearly by direct comparison, the centre, which is hk, clearly h has a value of 3. Okay, so no change to the negative sign in the formula there, so we'll leave it as just 3. And k appears to be missing, okay, because you just have y squared. There's no bracket with y minus k. What does that mean? It just means that k was 0. Okay, so the centre of this circle is 3, 0. And then by comparing the right hand side, we see that r squared equals 9. So r will be the square root of 9. So r equals 3. So there we have the centre and the radius of this circle. Alright, so here we're asked in reverse. Find the equation, so we have to produce the equation of the circle with centre minus 4, 3, so that's h comma k, that passes through the point 3, 4. Okay, now what will we use that for? Well, we're not told the radius, so perhaps we'll use it in computing the radius. Okay, so I'm going to write down my equation of the circle formula first. X minus h squared plus y minus k squared. Now that's fine, we have a h and we have a k, equals r squared, but we don't have a radius. What do we have? Well, we are told that the center of this circle is minus 4, 3, and we're told that the point 3, 4 is on the circle. Okay, so if we need a radius, so if center to the edge, we can find the distance from these 2 points using the distance formula. Okay, to do that, you'd go to your formula and tables books. You find the distance formula, which is d equals x2 minus x1 to be squared plus y2 minus y1 to be squared. So we'll have to go and find our radius first. Okay, so r will be equal to, so using the point provided and the center, so x2 will be, let's use this point as x1 y1 and this one is x2 y2. So we'll have minus 4 minus 3 to be squared plus 3 minus 4 to be squared. So in the bracket there we'll have minus 7 that needs to be squared, and we'll get minus 1. So r will be equal to 49 plus 1, the square root of it, and r will be square root of 50. And also for our formula, r squared will be 50. Okay, so that's the preliminary work done for us. Okay, and now we're going to substitute into our equation of the circle. So we'll have x minus, now h in this case is negative 4, so I'm going to use brackets at first just to highlight that, plus we get y minus 3 to be squared equals r squared, which we've just found is 50. Okay, and just sorting out those signs on the next line, we'll get x plus 4 to be squared plus y minus 3 to be squared equals 50. And there's my equation of the circle. That's my answer. Okay, another question. The circle C has center 2 minus 3 and a radius of 4 centimeters. Write down the equation of C. So when the instruction write down is given, it means we shouldn't have a whole pile of work to do. We'll just write it down. So firstly, I'm going to write down the equation of a circle. And secondly, we're going to substitute. So in this case, the center, HK, is given as 2 minus 3. Alright, so we'll have x minus 2 to be squared plus, now just take care here with the negatives, y, because it's negative, I'm going to put in an extra set of brackets there to highlight that, equals 4 squared. 4 was the radius given. And the final answer I'm going to provide is x minus 2 to be squared plus, so when you take a negative we get a positive, so y plus 3 to be squared equals to 4 squared, which is 16. And that's the equation of the circle, with center 2 minus 3 and a radius of 4. Okay, now there were further parts to that question. Let's just have a quick look at them. Part B says draw the circle C on the grid above. Each unit on the coordinate grid is 1 centimeter. So if you recall, our center was 2 minus 3 and our radius was 4 centimeters. So each unit is 1 centimeter, so it's 1:1. Okay, so first let's locate the center. 2 minus 3, so 2 on the x, minus 3 on the y. Here's my center. Okay, that's 2 minus 3, and the radius is 4, so in any direction I'd have to count out 4. If you had your compass with you in the exam, you'd do this, right? with your compass. So I'm going to count out 4 units to the left of my center. So 1, 2, 3, 4. So this is a point on my circle. I'm going to count up 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. So this is a point on my circle. 1, 2, 3, 4 to the right. And 4 down. 1, 2, 3, 4. Alright, again, in the exam, you'll have your compass with you, okay? You can draw a nice circle. Mine, as you see, will not be circular at all. Whoops, that's gone way out. Alright, you get the idea. Now, verify is the instruction for part C. Remember that means show that. Verify using algebra. So here they want us to use equations. That the point 3, 1 is outside of C. Okay, so if you recall back to the previous video, if a point is outside the circle, well then when we calculate the left of our equation of the circle, it should be bigger than the right hand side, because we're doing distances after all. And looking at the graph, that appears to be true. So the point 3, 1 is up here, okay, and appears to be just a little bit outside the circle. Okay, so for this we'll need our answer from part A, which was x minus 2 squared plus y plus 3 squared equals to 16. So that's our equation of the circle. We're going to put in values from the point given and see how left compares to right. So let's put in 3 instead of x. So we get 3 minus 2 squared plus 1 plus 3 squared, and let's compute it, calculate it out. So we get 1 squared plus 4 squared, which is 1 plus 16, which is 17 is what we get from this, which is a little bit bigger than 16, and you should always write an inclusion or conclusion rather. Therefore 3, 1 is outside the circle. Okay, now this is an interesting question. Let's have a look at it. The diagram shows 4 circles of equal radius length. The circles are touching as shown, and the equation of k1 is x squared plus y squared equals 0. So here's k1, and this circle has this equation, which we know is the type of equation you get for a circle that has center 0, 0, which it does. Okay, write down the radius of k1 is the first question. Okay, so k1 has radius squared equals to 4, because x squared plus y squared equals r squared is the equation of a circle. R squared is 4, so 2 times 2 gives 4, so r is 2, and it said write down, so it should have been pretty obvious. Okay, so the radius of k1 is 2, but so are the radius of all the others, because we were told they were of equal radius. So that's part 1. Question 2 now, write down the coordinates of the center of k3. So coordinates means we want an x comma y for the center of k3, which is here. Now what is that point? So we don't have a lot of information other than they're all touching and the radius is 2. So if this radius is 2, this coordinate here on the x-axis is 2, and this one here would be 4. Okay, so I think the x value of this center is 4 because it's directly underneath. And similarly, if we go in the vertical direction, this radius is 2, so this coordinate here on the y-axis is 2, come down another 2, we'll end up at 4. And if I go directly across from that, the y value will be 4. So I think the answer there for the center of k3 is 4, 4. Now next is write down. So write down again is use the equation of K3. Alright, so I'm going to put this below. The equation. This circle does not have a 0, 0 center, so we'll be using our equation of circle formula. We know the center is 4, 4 from the previous part, and we know the radius is 2. So substitution, x minus 4 to be squared plus y minus 4 to be squared equals to 2 squared, which is 4. So that's my answer there for K3. Alright, and finally, part 4. Is x squared plus y plus 4 squared equals 4 the equation of K2 or K4? Okay, so, well, let's take the equation and take out the information from it. So x squared plus y plus 4 squared equals 4. Okay, so what we're looking for basically here is the coordinates of the center of the circle. Alright, so comparing to your x minus h squared plus your y minus k squared equals r squared, well, what can we see? We can see that h here doesn't appear when we compare, so h was 0. And the y has plus 4, so the plus 4 has changed the sign from the formula, so k and concluding is minus 4. Okay, so which of the circles, and they all have radius 2, which of the circles has a center of 0, minus 4? So x value 0, y value minus 4. It is this one here. Okay, it's K4. So the answer equals K4. So just a little bit of detective work there. Now you do some work on that with the quiz and the written exercise.